Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 welcome to another. I forgot to put this on. Another 10 p.m. with BK. So, if you are friends, obviously you know that I'm BK. And if you're not friends, don't be shy. Feel free to add me here. Become friends, don't be a stranger. So, I'm currently live streaming into three places, my personal profile, Facebook page, as well as on YouTube. So why don't you just drop a comment and let us know, and let me know where you are watching this from, so that we kind of gather some feedback in a sense. So those of you who have been at least on one other live stream, I have a very quick routine that I need to do, and it is this one. We are on day number 23 of a 100-day challenge. So again, it was started 23 days ago, just as a way of challenging myself in the area of self-discipline. And the other day, I had guests. I had a senior from my school, one of my seniors in school, who hopped on and said that he's actually quite impressed that I went on for, at that time was 21 days. At that time was 21 days. So I've been going on for 23 days. So I appreciate all of you who have given me feedback either in the comments or have privately messaged me, and especially the ones that really, really inspire me are the ones that when people tell me that they were inspired by me. So it's kind of like, the movie Pay It Forward, right? So I wanted to do this to challenge myself, and because of that, I think it has also helped to inspire or challenge other people. So don't play small, whatever arena you're in. If you're thinking of doing something like this, maybe it's a live stream or maybe another program or another show or a podcast or anything like that. My biggest advice to you is go for it. Just do it. Just start it. It doesn't have to be perfect from get go. In fact, if you go back and watch day 1, day 2, day 3, you will notice that I have made some changes along the way, and some would be improvements, some not so good. So it's about a learning process, and I think end of the 100 days, I would be the one that benefits the most, right? I would be the one that benefits the most because of the practice and the discipline. In fact, it has already spilled over into other areas of my life. And I think if you are, even there is a little inkling inside you that kind of telling you that, hey, I also want to do something similar. It doesn't have to be a live video thing. The other day I was talking to a friend, and she was saying that she's not as comfortable in front of a camera, but she writes very well. So she was thinking of starting a blog, right? Now, of course, in this today, it seems like more sexy. People are starting podcasts, and people are starting live streams. People are starting YouTube channels and so on. But in essence, blogs are also still highly are very, very popular, and she has the flair for it. So I would tell her to go for it, right? So it might be the same for you. I have a friend who does a live stream where he cooks. Yeah, he cooks, right? He shows people how to cook simple home cooked meals for his family, and gives tips on that. And again, if you have that kind of talent, I don't. I seriously don't. I can't do that, right? So just do it. Just start it, and you'll be surprised. You will definitely have an audience. And the other day, I think we kind of talked a little bit about this concept where somebody remarked to me and said that it seems like everyone is trying to be an expert because of starting all this live stream and then say things that they kind of think. So my huge disclaimer here, I'm not claiming to be any kind of expert. In fact, in many ways, this live stream, like I said, is a personal challenge. And number two, it also kind of doubles up as a a video diary or video journal for myself, kind of what I go throughout the day and what I've learned, what I picked up, my thoughts. And like I said, actually I've been like, I'm getting more and more excited about coming on at 10 o'clock and sharing some of the things I want to share with you. And of course, because of some of the feedback from people, they kind of said that, hey, the thing you shared that day, it helped me, it inspired me to think of something. So I like I said the other day, we do not have to think that we have to be an expert before we can be doing this. The very simple way of understanding this is that none of the so-called experts that you can think of right now started off as being experts. In fact, just a few minutes ago, I was having a conversation with a friend, and they were saying that you are seasoned at this. That's why you got comfortable doing this. I said I didn't start off being seasoned. I started off as a newbie, right? A noob, right? The word they use is noob. I'm a newbie as well. But it is about taking the first step. And like one of my I always like to quote one of my favorite mentors, which is Jim Rohn. He said that the very first time he stood up to do a presentation. The very first time he did a presentation, if he wasn't the one presenting, he would have gone home because he was that bad. That was how he felt, how bad it was for the first presentation. So the first few minutes, I guess I'm just trying to encourage you. If you have even the little I think sometimes inside us there is something that is quietly trying to speak to us. You can call it your subconscious, you can call it your inner child, you can call it whatever you want. But I think sometimes there is something inside each and every one of us that sometimes likes to speak to you. And if you suspend all other beliefs, or you suspend all other doubts and fears and so on, and you actually listen to that voice, you might be surprised that it will lead you to things that are actually quite fascinating, right? So that is something that perhaps you can explore, and sometimes it's like this for me as well. It's like I kind of suddenly get an idea, and then it's like this inner child or this inner person or something is inside me that's saying that you should try this, you should do this. And then when I actually take the step to do it, the results are multifold, the results are manifold. So, and I kind of always when I do a regular presentation for certain things, I always tell the audience that if even a little bit of the inner person, your inner child or the inner spirit that you have is kind of like there's a little itch or there's a little inkling of something that you may want to try, then go for it, right? And go for it, okay? So tonight I wanted to share what might seemingly seem like 3 disjointed information or knowledge that you may or may not already know. But I have recently, some more recent than others, come to appreciate, and it has changed my worldview in some sense. So I would like to share with you as well. And I kind of titled today's topic as, what is better than knowledge? Why I say that is because when I was a JC student, one of my Bible school teachers was telling me that, BK, you need to be very careful because you have a propensity to like to learn. Just now another friend was saying that she's a perpetual student all the time. She's a professional student. I kind of think I'm also a bit like that. But it is also the thing that actually I think keeps me very young at heart, because I always have this curiosity to know a lot of things, learn things, and I think that keeps me young at heart. Right, so I'm not discounting that. I think it's a great trait to have. But to heed my friends or my Bible school teacher's advice is to actually make sure that I also don't just stop at learning knowledge, but actually apply knowledge. So what is better than knowledge? Applied knowledge. What is better than knowledge is applied knowledge. So keep your state of mind and your inner being young at heart, because curiosity children are curious. Children are innately curious, inherently curious. So if you maintain or constantly keep yourself in this state of curiosity and always wanting to learn about certain things, don't you think that you will be more and more, you'll be more childlike in essence, which means you are keeping yourself young, right? So who doesn't want to stay younger? If you don't want to stay younger, then this doesn't apply to you. Okay. So I'm going to share 3 things that has been fascinating for me. And I am still on the journey of discovering more, but I think there's a lot of potential in these 3 areas. So one of them is actually something quite complicated, or actually is the study of something very simple but becomes very complicated, which is quantum physics. So when one person tells you about something, maybe it's just one person, but when you hear it from another source and then another source and then another source, it kind of could be that something or someone or the universe is trying to hint to you, hey, this is something you need to pay attention to. So recently, this whole topic about quantum physics has become very fascinating for me, right? In fact, I'm not sure whether you like comics. I do. I do like comics, and I do like the comic-related movies and TV series, right? So one of my favorite comic characters, superhero, is actually the Flash. Now, the Flash, he's Barry Allen. He's this guy who can run very fast, right? He runs very fast. He's like runs very super fast. In fact, one of his superpower is that because he can vibrate so fast, he kind of like separates into this. He's almost like the molecular level, right? So he's actually able to phase through solid objects. Now, the interesting thing about this whole universe we are living in, right? Although you may see, like my hand now is solid, it feels solid, or the table that's just in front of me feels solid, right? But actually, and if you have watched the movie, the Marvel movie Ant-Man, how he was able to, from a huge human being, become a such small microscopic character, right? It's because actually there's a lot of empty space around us or in the atoms, right? And I didn't quite understand it until recently. Then I kind of, because if that's the case, then why do we feel solid? No, why don't we feel like, why can't we just pass through things? Why do things feel actually absolutely solid, right? That's because our atoms are the electrons that is inside our atoms, right? It's like the Earth is circling the sun, right? These electrons that are circling around our atoms and our molecules, their speed is 2200 kilometers per second. I say that again, it's 2200 kilometers per second. So why it feels so solid is because it's kind of like, if today you were driving on the streets, you're driving on the roads, and there was a hurricane, and hurricanes are not at 2200 kilometers per second, but it's still relatively fast, right? If you actually hit the hurricane, it will feel as though you are hitting a solid brick wall. Okay, you will feel as though you are hitting a solid brick wall. Now, that is what's happening. So inside every single one of our cells and atoms and molecules inside us now, imagine there's this tremendous spinning hurricanes of electrons so fast that it is kind of creating a solid wall, right? It's solid wall. So that's why we feel solid, right? That's why we feel like it's solid. Now, some of you might be wondering, BK is a bit nuts today. Why is he talking about like quantum physics? The application of this is that there is a very interesting field where ancient traditional cultures, the knowledge that they have from the ancient wisdom, is starting to becoming proven more and more accurate by modern science. So things about understanding the universe that we live in, how the universe is actually nothing but energy, and how energy cannot be created nor destroyed, and how there's actually multiple fields of, it's not just 3-dimension, it's actually more than, it's multi-dimensional. There are actually, in the quantum realm, there are multiple fields. And how we can apply this to our lives is actually like, if we, you see, this is a very fascinating topic. So I'm not going to be able to explain everything. In fact, I have a friend who can explain this much better. If you are interested to know about it, then please reach out to me. We have a program that he did together with us that can explain this topic much better. But let me just briefly give you a little tidbit about this. So the concept of to actually do well in our lives, we kind of need to make sure we are more centered and focused and be in the now, but a lot of times, a lot of us are either living in the past filled with regrets, right? So you're tethered to the past, right? Or you are worrying about the future, so you are also anchored to the future. Now, either of these states doesn't help you in any way. When you are tethered to the past or you are anchored to the future, worrying about the future, you are actually living outside of now. And because you're living outside of now, there's no way you can create your future. Sounds interesting, right? I mean, sounds a bit abstract, but that is actually how it is. So the only time that you can create your future is when you are living in the now and being very conscious about what you are actually doing in the here and now. Okay? So this is about universal laws and quantum physics and all these things that kind of all roll into one. So this was a very recent area that I am starting to be very interested in. Now, of course, most of them will talk about things like meditation, which is something I talked about. You can use that as a way to center yourself and so on. So that may be something you want to explore. And of course, they always say success leaves footprints. So if you look at all the very successful people, top CEOs, top business people, all of them kind of always mention meditation. So if that is the case, then maybe all of us should also kind of consider that. So that is the first piece of information first piece of knowledge that I learned recently that is fairly fascinating to me, at least to me. Okay. Second one is about money. It's about money. I've been reading this book called Your Money or Your Life. I think they kind of title it this way because when you meet a robber in the middle of the night in the streets, in the dark alley, the robber may say, "Give me your money or your life," right? So it's a threat. And of course, in that kind of scenario, nothing is more important than your life. So you obviously will hand over your wallet and your money and so on, unless you're like Bruce Wayne and his mom and dad, right? Another comic character, backstory. So when you are confronted with that kind of situation, it becomes very obvious that obviously your life is more important than money. But the rest of us, the rest of the time during our daily lives, we actually don't have that same mentality because we actually do things that kind of places money over our life, right? We do things that we don't like to get a little bit of money, but actually we are suffering, right? And some of us might be working so hard and so overworked and so stressed that we then develop other health challenges. Now, so this concept that I'm about to talk about is this thing about, so what exactly is money? What exactly is money? And there's been a lot of people say, oh, money is, people will say money is the root of all evil. Actually, some will correct them and say, no, money is not the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil. But even that, you see, there's a lot of disagreement, right? Then another type of people will say, oh, money is just an exchange of goods and services or value of goods, right? So, again, there will also be people who kind of dispute that because it's like, I do not need that, so that therefore I have no value to exchange with the person, right? And in fact, even today, a lot of currencies are fiat currencies, which means it's actually not tied at all to like physical gold or something like that. Whereas in the past, it was actually still at least tied to gold, right? But the author of this book, Your Money or Your Life, gave a very interesting concept about money and life and money, which I think he said that this is the only definition that nobody can kind of dispute if you think about it carefully, right? So his definition is that money is something that you get in exchange for your life energy, right? So let me say that again. So money is something that you can only get in exchange for your life energy. So if you imagine you are going to live up to 80 years old and then X number of hours, X number of days, all of us, we basically money is our life, because you have chosen to dedicate or you've chosen to commit a certain amount of hours in your daily life, because the hours in your day is literally your life, right? So you're giving away your life energy in exchange for a financial return, right? Now, when you start to think of it like that, all of a sudden, things become fairly interesting, right? Because then you start to think about, is 1 hour of my life only worth X dollars, right? Because if you think about the when we talk about the beginning, we talk about like if you meet a robber in a dark alley and the robber says your money or your life, I mean, it's quite obvious. We all know that obviously you value your life more. But if we talk about this concept where money is what you can get in exchange for when you trade your energy of your life, right? Your life energy. So then it suddenly becomes very, very important for all of us to start thinking about, is the job that you are doing now, I mean, it may not just be pure monetary terms, right? It may also be like satisfaction and all those things. But essentially, you can start to think about that 1 hour. If you are, let's say you're working as an hourly wage and you're earning $10, are you then saying that you are happy with the fact that your 1 hour of your life energy is actually worth $10, right? Now, so that really got me thinking. Because then you start to think about, yeah. So, and especially, I mean, some of us, if you're in a happy job, obviously that's at least good, right? But some of us, if you're stuck in a dead end job and you're not happy about what you're doing, and then you're not getting much back in return. So not only are you not getting much back from the life energy that you're giving out, but the unhappiness in the workplace may cause you to have a drop in quality of life energy when you go home or whatever, right? So that's the concept of money that I recently came to understand, which has helped me to kind of rethink something. So just sharing this with you. Please go and read the book if you want. It's actually a very good book. It's called Your Money or Your Life. Okay? That's the second thing I wanted to talk about. Now, then the third thing for tonight, seemingly disjointed, seemingly, well, it depends how you take it, right? So, again, another book that I was reading and I came across, and I just want to ask, because some of my friends, I kind of asked them to go and find out, because then if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoiler this for you. So the question is this. When you think of so human beings are made out of cells, right? We are all cells, right? That's one of the basic building blocks of life, right? So we are cells. Now, this Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote the book, The Biology of Belief, right? He's one of the proponents of stem cells in very, very early on. He was one of the first few to do all these things, and he's also now very into epigenetics and stuff like that. Even things like quantum physics, like the first topic we talked about, right? He's quite into that as well. He's quite an authority on this. So go and find out and go and read him as well. So when you look at the cell, right? And if I ask you, where is the brain of the cell? Where is the brain of the cell? Now, a lot of times we don't really think about that. In fact, the cell is actually very fascinating. A cell is actually like a miniature version of us. It's like a miniature version of us. So inside us, we have digestive systems. We can digest things. We have a waste disposal system. We also have a reproductive system, right? But our cells are exactly like that. our cells have these things as well. We have a reproductive system, we have a brain for processing information. We also have a digestive and a waste disposal system. So that's like that. So it's kind of like a miniaturized version of us. So the cells, right? So if I ask you where is the brain of the cell, a lot of times people would say that the brain of the cell is like the nucleus, because they think that that's where the genes are being read and then the instructions are being copied, and then the cell can then make new proteins and so on and enzymes. So they kind of think that the nucleus is because where the genes are, that's the brain. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It's not. The nucleus is not the brain of the cell. The nucleus, in fact, is actually more like the reproductive organ of the cell, because it's making all these things that we need in the cell, right? Now, so where exactly is the brain? The brain is actually the membrane of your cells. So the cells has a membrane, and on the membranes there are actually all these like tentacle-like things and feelers, and then they are trying to read the environment. Okay, so they are reading signals from the environment they are in. Now, so for example, if you are stressed and you produce stress hormones, then your cells will feel it because they are reaching out and they can kind of reach the things, and then it will affect your health because you're stressed. So this whole concept about how our mental thoughts and our emotions can affect health is actually very, very relevant. So you see, all these three things actually kind of tie in together, because like even quantum physics, you look at the cell, you're kind of looking a little bit at like the information field and how you're influencing your cells. So, and this thing ties in with this concept called epigenetics, which is that there is something above the genes that can influence your health, right? So after I understood that, a lot of things started to make a lot more sense, right? And the past 3 years, I've been on a quest to kind of overhaul myself and improve my health and turn my health around, and also, so it's been a very interesting journey. And because of all these things that I gotten in touch with, I think we have found things that can really help us in our health, right? So three things. Three seemingly unrelated things, but actually can kind of really improve the quality of your health. I hope it's been useful for you. So if you do want to know how all this can come together, and where else can you get more information if this has piqued your interest, just reach out to me. Just drop me a message, a private message, or just send me a text if we are friends. I'll be happy to send you all the resources of how I've gotten to know all these things, because it has impacted me a lot. I can honestly say the 3 years where I am and where I am today now, I'm in a much, much better position, right? Health-wise, mental-wise, spiritual-wise, financially-wise, so that's the part where keeping yourself young at heart and always wanting to learn, but then taking that knowledge and applying it and doing things with it is what is most important, right? So what is more important than knowledge? Applied knowledge. So if you want to know the resources of where I learn all these things, because I cannot, some of these people are really experts in that. I'm like I say, I'm not claiming to be any expert. So I'll be happy to send you the resources that I have that can help you to understand all this as well. That's helped me to understand it, right? If you want that, just drop me a PM. Just drop me a private message. So once again, thank you for joining me. And I realized something. Oh, by the way, before the start of the thing, I play this music. I'm actually warming up and dancing in the background. And then I realized that when I play the exit music, right, the outro, and if I kind of like turn off my camera before the music finishes, I also learn something new. It cuts off the music as well. So some of you may be wondering why did BK cut off the music? Actually, it's not. It's just that it learned the platform. So today I'm going to leave the camera on so that the music plays finish, and then I'll just end the live stream. So you learn something new every day. So thank you for joining me on day number 23 of a 100-day challenge. We have 77 more days to go. feel free to let me know what are things you would like to, or if you would like to come online and come on as a guest, please. I welcome you. We already had 2 guests the other day, and obviously whatever they share can always benefit everyone. And I'm sure you have something that can benefit everyone as well. So PM me if you want the resources, and if not, bye.